SpaceX embarrassed NASA with their high-tech spacesuit. One thing always attracts the eye when space is the setting for science fiction or science fact, the spacesuit. Indeed, we are all accustomed to feeling inspired and energized when we observe astronauts dressed in cutting-edge spacesuits. Being who they are, SpaceX has dropped a bomb in the form of a brand new spacesuit design that differs significantly from anything NASA has ever attempted. What makes this cutting-edge spacesuit so special that it surpasses all NASA has ever accomplished? Come along with us as we examine every aspect of the spacesuit. SpaceX high-tech spacesuit. Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken's futuristic flight suits, as well as any other spacesuits used by astronauts from other countries, are a far cry from the hefty orange shuttle flight suits astronauts wore when they last launched from Florida's Kennedy Space Center. But let's first define what spacesuits actually are before moving on. Astronauts use spacesuits, also referred to as EMUs or extravehicular mobility units, to protect them from the harsh conditions of space, which include vacuum and varying temperatures. Extravehicular activity, EVA, which is labor done outside of the spacecraft, requires spacesuits which are routinely worn inside spacecraft as a safety precaution in the event of cabin pressure loss. Spacesuits have been used for these jobs in Earth orbit, on the surface of the Moon, and on the return trip to Earth from the Moon. In order to keep the wearer comfortable and lessen the effort required to bend the limbs while combating a soft-pressure garment's natural tendency to harden against the vacuum, modern spacesuits incorporate a complex collection of technology and environmental systems to the basic pressure garment. It is customary to use a self-contained oxygen supply and environmental control system to give complete independence from the spaceship. Spacesuits come in three main varieties: IVA, intravehicular activity; EVA, extravehicular activity; and EVA, intra-extravehicular activity. Since IVA suits are made to be worn inside a pressurized spaceship, they are lighter and more comfortable. An EVA suit that can be used both inside and outside the spacecraft is the Gemini G4C suit. They provide improved defense against the harsh conditions of space, such as micrometeoroids and abrupt temperature changes. For planetary exploration or spacewalks, EVA suits like the EMU are used outside of ships. There are many distinct spacesuit types and designs, however they are largely just different iterations of the same basic idea. But SpaceX's suit fundamentally alters the game. The spacesuits that astronauts are using on the International Space Station (ISS) right now are quite old. In February 2015, SpaceX started making a spacesuit that astronauts would use aboard the Dragon 2 spacecraft. Elon Musk, the founder and CEO of SpaceX, and Jose Fernandez, a Hollywood costume designer well known for his work on science fiction and superhero movies, worked together to create its appearance. The first images of the suit were made public in September 2017. A mannequin called Starman, named after the David Bowie song of the same name, donned the SpaceX spacesuit during the Falcon Heavy's inaugural flight in February 2018. When it was unveiled at the Expo, the suit had no sensors and was not pressurized. The vacuum-compatible suit guards against cabin depressurization and is connected to air and electronic connections by a single tether at the astronaut's thigh. The 3D-printed helmets are equipped with speakers and microphones. Since the suits require a tether connection and do not offer radiation protection, they are not used for extravehicular activities. NASA commercial crew members Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley tested the spacesuit aboard the Dragon 2 spacecraft in 2018 to become familiar with it. When the Crew Dragon Demo 2 flight took off on May 30, 2020, they were wearing it. Astronauts participating in SpaceX's commercial crew program missions don the suit. The helmets are 3D printed and the gloves are touchscreen responsive. They still serve the same primary purpose, which is to safeguard crew members from depressurization, which happens when the air in the capsule is lost. The suits also ensure adequate oxygen supply and a comfortable body temperature for the astronauts. A communication link and breathing air are provided by a single umbilical wire in the seat that hooks into the suit. The spacesuits already outperformed any NASA designs, but despite that, we still need to consider SpaceX's rivalry. We need just look at Boeing, the venerable business that has been battling SpaceX for the privilege to fly NASA missions. For the contract with NASA to transport people to the space station in its CST, 100 Starliner spacecraft, it has created a pressure suit to safeguard passengers through the crucial phases of launch and re-entry. The Boeing Blue spacesuits used by American astronauts are around 40% lighter and more flexible than earlier models. astronauts have a lot of inside layers to keep them cool. The suit also has touchscreen sensitive gloves that enable astronauts to utilize tablets in space. On the trip into and out of space, Starliner passengers will have better peripheral vision thanks to the soft, hood-like helmet's wide polycarbonate visor. Zips in the torso area will make it easier for astronauts to go from sitting to standing. In October 2019, NASA published a close-up look at two upcoming suits for the Artemis program. One of the suits, the Orion Crew Survival System, is comparable to the ones used by SpaceX and Boeing. Although much lighter, it is comparable to the pumpkin suits worn by astronauts on space shuttles. On the other hand, the Exploration Extravehicular Mobility Unit suit, also called the X-EMU, is designed to be worn on the moon's surface. Compared to the pressure suits that astronauts wear inside spacecraft, it is significantly larger. This is because it needs to shield the user from temperature changes outside the spacecraft's walls. Additionally, it aims to provide some defense against micrometeorites and other microscopic space debris. In many ways, it is similar to the spacewalking suits that were previously used at the International Space Station (ISS). Two suits are used on the International Space Station for spacewalking. One of them is the Russian Orlan type, which debuted in December 1977. One piece makes up the Orlan spacesuit. The backpack can be opened like a refrigerator door for the spacewalker to crawl inside. The Extravehicular Mobility Suit (EMU), developed by NASA, was first used in the space station in 1981. The EMU is divided into two halves as opposed to the Orlan, a bottom half and a top half. The semi-rigid suit provides its wearer with around 8.5 hours of life support outside in the vacuum of space. The EMU was the name of the spacesuit worn by Apollo astronauts during their lunar missions. It was different from the current version, though. It was the fruition of years of labor. SpaceX's Starman suit is a direct descendant of this line of study and innovation since the first spacewalk by the late cosmonaut Alexei Leonov in March 1965. We wish there was more information on the suit, but it appears SpaceX wants to keep a trade secret in light of Chinese technological developments and their desire to directly compete with the United States in a brand new space race. We can see that SpaceX has put in a lot of work because established industry firms are still using spacesuit technologies from the Cold War era. NASA's Z-Series was a spacesuit prototype that didn't catch on. It was created as a set of prototype extravehicular activity EVA spacesuits for the Advanced Extravehicular Mobility Unit (EMU) project of NASA's Advanced Exploration Systems (EASE) program. The suits were being created for use during planetary EVAs as well as microgravity missions. However, it appears that NASA lacked the confidence to finally implement it for spaceflights, and SpaceX will soon have to overcome that obstacle. Then and only then can we assess whether they have succeeded in changing things yet again. Tell us what you think of SpaceX's efforts to make the most cutting-edge space suit known to humans in the comment section below. FAQ regarding SpaceX high-tech spacesuit. What are spacesuits? A spacesuit, sometimes known as EMU, an acronym for Extravehicular Mobility Unit, is a garment worn by astronauts to keep them alive in the harsh environment of outer space. What modern spacesuits have? Modern spacesuits add a complicated set of technology and environmental systems to the basic pressure garment to keep the user comfortable and reduce the effort necessary to bend the limbs while fighting the natural inclination of a soft pressure garment to stiffen against the vacuum. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.